Hi, I'm Crystal Payne, founder of MoneySavingMom.com and author of the new book, Money Making Mom. And welcome to day number 2 of my 5-day series on making a full-time income from home. Have you ever failed at something? Does fear of failure hold you back from jumping out and taking risk? If so, you'll want to be sure to watch today's video. I started MoneySavingMom.com because I discovered there were so many families who wanted to decrease their grocery bills but needed practical help, ideas, and hand-holding to make it happen. I knew I had experience, knowledge, and ideas to share. I knew I had a passion for writing and enough computer knowledge to be able to set up a simple blog and monetize it. I was able to marry my skills, talents, passions, and knowledge into a business that solved problems and eliminated or reduced struggles that millions of people have. But here's the important piece you need to know. I didn't hit on this idea from the get-go. You see, before I started Money Saving Mom, before I started blogging, and before I started writing ebooks, I began my entrepreneurial adventure with a different kind of website, one that I rarely talk about because it wasn't a great idea. And I actually have it locked up in my vault of shame. You know, that place where you bury your most embarrassing moments and really bad ideas, hoping you and everyone else will just forget that they ever existed. But today, I'm going to share the story with you because I think it will really encourage you to know that all of us have failed and made big mistakes in our lives. I told you yesterday about how I'd first started reading and researching ways to make an income from home when I found out I was pregnant with my first child and when my husband was in law school. What I didn't tell you was what the first site was that I created. It wasn't MoneySavingMom.com. Oh no, it was a site called Covenant Wedding Source, an online business providing custom-made, modest wedding gowns and accessories. As I had personally discovered when planning my own wedding, there weren't a lot of options for brides who wanted affordable wedding gowns that were also modest. My husband, who is always my biggest cheerleader, willingly invested $2,000 of our savings to start the business. That money paid for the website design, a computer, a business license, and a few other necessary supplies. I look back and wonder what got into him to willingly risk what was a huge chunk of money to invest in my crazy idea. I had read a bunch of books on starting a business from the library, and I was really pumped about my idea. I quickly learned that I was in way over my head. I hadn't a clue about online marketing, and it didn't take long to figure out that while you can set up a great website, you need a whole lot more than that to increase your daily traffic beyond just you and your mom. After a few weeks of very few site visits and 0 sales, I became more proactive in my efforts. I joined Yahoo groups because that was the thing in the day, left comments with a link on my site next to my name or in my bio on related online forums, wrote and submitted articles to any site online that accepted guest posts, and studied online marketing and entrepreneurialism with a vengeance. After about 6 months, 6 brides were brave enough to send in their measurements and requirements for a custom gown. Great, right? Well, I learned another lesson. Creating custom-made wedding gowns according to a bride's measurements and specifications requires a massive amount of time and work to pull off. And it's especially hard to do if you're trying to do it inexpensively and from across the country. I was discouraged to look over our bank statements and accounting ledgers and realize I had put in countless hours, but had not turned a profit at all. This was a problem because we needed to see at least a small profit in order to survive. It was a business, after all, not a charity. Something had to change. I realized I needed to build an email list, look for multiple streams of income to develop on my site, and learn more about affiliate marketing. While I was excited to be learning new things, I was still putting in more hours than expected and seeing very little for my efforts. I started to wonder if I should discontinue the wedding business, but it was embarrassing to even think of having to admit that things hadn't worked out. I wasn't a quitter, and I was determined to somehow make the business work. Well, guess what? The next 2 dress projects turned out to be disasters. The customers were upset with the work, and it took weeks of pulling my hair out and brainstorming creative strategies to fix the issues and make the customers satisfied. And it was really to no avail. It was hard and humbling to admit, but it was time to close down Covenant Wedding Source. Though I initially struggled with feeling like a failure, looking back, I realized what a blessing in disguise it was. Not only did I learn such valuable lessons through failure, but I also got this crazy idea to start a blog. Little did I know what those first feeble blogging attempts would lead to. And that's why I think the second key is so important. What is key number 2 to making a full-time income from home? It's this: failure is your friend. It really is. In my new book, Money Making Mom, I've written a lot about different failures I've had in the last 10 years of running a business, because I've had some doozies. And here's the thing I've learned through failure: it's inevitable. You are going to fail in life. But don't let that discourage you, because you see, failure is evidence that you're trying. If you're jumping out and trying new things, taking some risk, and living life to your fullest potential, failing at some things is unavoidable. We aren't always going to be able to do everything well, nor will every idea we have turn into a golden idea. But failing at something doesn't make you a failure. It makes you human. Failure doesn't define you unless you let it. You can choose to wallow in despair over the fact that you failed at something, or you can choose to pick yourself back up, dust yourself off, and move forward. Today, I want you to take 5 minutes to think about times in your life when you failed at something. Maybe it was a few years ago, or even just a few days ago. Step back and ask yourself, why? Why did you fail? Did you go about something the wrong way? Did you set unrealistic goals in the first place? Were there specific hindrances and roadblocks keeping you from success? Write this down and think about what you can do differently next time based upon what you learned through this failure. Through failure, I've discovered weaknesses and shortcomings in my life. I've pinpointed character that I need to work on, and I've uncovered many, many ways to do things that don't work. Yes, failure is my friend. I wouldn't have chosen all the failures I've experienced in my life, but looking back, I'm realizing that learning invaluable lessons the hard way has helped me develop as a person. It's shaped the way I approach things in life, and it's made me a better wife, mother, friend, and business owner. Instead of running from failure, I now step back and really examine, what can I learn from this failure so that I don't make the same mistakes again? By doing so, failure has become my greatest teacher to propel me onward and upward.